Here we are, living in a post-Echo world. This dropped a couple of days ago, and as you can see, it came out to critical acclaim. Both the critic class and the audience absolutely love Echo, which is so weird because you take a look at the conversation surrounding it, and well, I guess representation is important because it is falling on deaf ears because Echo is one of the best Marvel TV shows in years. There are so many great ones that are out there, and it's the best one since the last one that got put out. Trust me, guys, don't check any of our previous reviews that just continue to regurgitate those same talking points. But yeah, there's this one very important disclaimer that's over the top of this. Will people watch? No, you killed your brand. Marvel is at a point where it's really beyond repair. Outside of a full and total Elon Musk Twitter style gutting, there's no repairing this ship. Okay, like, yeah, everybody's pointing to it. Deadpool 3 that comes out later this summer, it's gonna pop a rating. It's gonna do a gangbusters at the box office, but gone are the halcyon days when Marvel can just go ahead and crap anything out into the cinema and it makes $1 billion. Some people have earmarked it. It's got the potentiality. Maybe it could. No. I'm thinking top end. $750,000. Or $750 million, sorry, 750. That's the top range. If it gets any higher than that, yeah, it's going to end up making its money back. Woo, fantastic. Don't know the budget on that guy, but for every other Marvel release and everything else that is slated on their release schedule, it's all getting exorbitant amounts of money. Don't know what Echo's budget was, but I guess they must have had a fairly extensive wardrobe budget, if you know what I mean. But the broad strokes of this, well, from the people that actually watched it, not the Access Media class, it is as big of a pile of steaming shit as anything else that has come out in a post-Endgame world. Okay, Gary from Nerdrotic ended up watching it, and he was live tweeting it, and I was paying attention to this, but yeah, here's something that you're confronted with very early. After Daredevil comes in and has his little fight, and then just goes deuces for the rest of the series, which is so funny, because if you remember the development of this, chances are you don't, so I'll go ahead and refresh your memory on this. Like, this series was announced a long time ago. Oh, because the moment that you boot this up, you are inundated with, as it says right up there, 4.5 episodes with a 30-minute previously on. This is a spin-off, not of Daredevil, where they're leeching all of the other characters in order to generate any sort of buzz for this failed project, but a spin-off of the Hawkeye show. The Hawkeye show? Yeah. It came out in 2022. You guys remember? Y'all watched the Hawkeye show, right? Cassie or Kate Wilson. Cassie Lang is an ant girl. I forget. They're all just broads in the MCU now. But she came in and she cucked the Kingpin. And I guess Echo went like, I really like that idea. Maybe I should try that myself, my own show. And that's something else that's really a big problem throughout the entirety of this. Is that, yeah, okay, cool. You wanted to do sign language. But you got that problem where it precipitously drags down the pacing of the show because, okay, cool, you got to go ahead and you got to throw up your gang signs, and then all of a sudden people have to register that, and then in order to communicate back with Echo, then they got to go ahead and throw it up there again. You know what really would have solved all of this problem if you wanted to do your virtue signaling with a deaf character? You could have had them throwing up their gang signs, but then at the same time, you could have just had their ADR voices over the top. Like, it's all right, okay, she can't, she's deaf. She can speak, sort of, but you could have made the communication a little bit smoother, but instead you have these long pauses on top of a slow and boring, awful show. It's exactly what happened with the Ahsoka show over there on Disney's Lucasfilm Island over there. But they didn't at least, have any communication barrier right there. That was just a vapid show in general, but there was a lot of long pauses with arms crossed. But this time around, well, I guess, Alakwa Cox is actually getting some exercise this time around. But it's time for a queen. Oh, yay. Echo's powers are beyond lame. They were better in the comics. No. She's great. It's not like she's a Native American taskmaster like she is in the comics. No. She can call upon her ancestors, and she can send up the smokum signals, and then she can bestow upon her all the powers of everyone that came before her, all of the legendary horse thieves and fantastic negotiators that traded away their entire culture for beads and fire water. Jesus Christ, as somebody who's a quarter native, I fucking know my history, okay? Christ almighty, they're not exactly the most savvy business people. But yeah, there you can see probably the cringiest line that came out of this. He's handing me Queenpin. Oh, okay, so it's not enough where she gets handed to her more powers from her ancestors. God, that's so stupid to say, but that's what happens. She also gets handed the mantle of the Kingpin, the big selling point of this entire show, because who's the biggest silhouette on that poster? What's the big selling point? Even from the original trailers at the end of 2023, what was the big selling point of this? Hey, you guys like that Daredevil show over there on Netflix? Yeah, we got the Kingpin. He's going to be in a lot of it, and he's going to basically foster this little chick, and it's going to kind of make sense, right? But why did he get one that was so busted? But it's kind of strange, right? Because, oh, you get all of her origin story and that stuff, right? Like, it's all great before, of course, she becomes Queenpin, okay? You get to figure out how she lost her leg. Now, okay, you would think, okay, and I think that I'm setting up a little bit of a spoiler here with the fact that she's on a motorcycle. So it's like, okay, she lost her leg in a motorcycle accident. No. Ain't no Gary Busey type situation where somebody, lays down a bike and their head goes flumpy. No, it was when she was a young girl. In fact, they did a flashback very early in the season where, okay, cool, she riding in a vehicle. In a vehicle, you say, okay, what, a collision? Yes, there is a collision involved, okay. And it's like, okay, leg gets crushed or the only way, given the fact that it's TVMA, right? Like, that's another big selling point. We got the Kingpin, and there's going to be blood and swearing and awkward faces when you try to put somebody in a guillotine. Very strange choices to use and wield your, TV R rating. Anyways, yeah, in this head-on collision, that ends up, affecting little Maya Lopez right there. It's not having her leg crushed that leads to its amputation. No. It involves it getting severed. Severed what? In order to get saved from an impending implosion or explosion from the vehicle? No. It's even dumber than that, okay? You would notice if something comes in contact with, I'm sure you guys have been driving before, okay? If something comes in contact with your, let's just say any of the windows, the side windows, the rear window, or even the windshield itself, some object comes in contact with the windshield, okay, if it's small enough, if it's a little rock, everybody's picked up a rock chip, right? Okay, it'll just either bounce off if it's small or not moving fast enough, or you'll get a little divot in there, but then, you'll normally get those little spider webs, but it's going to crack an appropriate way because heaven forbid anything would happen with like traditional glass where it's not strong enough, or the way that it breaks would lead to giant shards. Now, that's been a technology that's been implemented in automobiles for a very, very, very long time, with the obvious exception to fictional reservation vehicles. Is that what we're doing here? Because, yeah, instead of having some kind of a logical, scientifically, even physically possible way for her to lose her leg, a giant shard from the windshield comes down, defies physics, makes it around the console, and cuts off her leg. This show sounds retarded, absolutely ridiculous, and I'm not even talking about her physical disability. So no, are people going to watch? Absolutely not. And especially with your biggest selling point, you turn them into a fucking bitch. Like, Jesus Christ, like, for all of the advertisement that I seen in the leading up to this, oh, the Echo series really made Kingpin into the street level Thanos character. I don't seem to recall Thanos at the end of Infinity War sitting on his farming planet, just crying and weeping into the Infinity Gauntlet. Sorry, I forgot. I must have missed that part. That must have been in the director's cut. But they managed to cuck out for a second time in a row. Shout out to the old Hawkeye series where Kingpin was originally cucked by little Kate Wilson. No. He has a conversation with Echo, and I don't know how goofily that goes along, but at the end of it, big bad Wilson Fisk, okay? The baddest motherfucker that I've known for a long time, because I was somebody who was raised on those Marvel 90s animated shows, the Spooderman one, the X-Men one, and when it comes to the Spider-Man one specifically, there are a couple of episodes that I remember particularly. One involves Electro in the Bell Tower trying to get the symbiote suit, okay, to just get off of Peter Parker, and then another one was when you're up in Fisk Tower, and the big overarching presence of the Kingpin is right there. Like, he was the baddest dude imaginable, and yeah, if they wanted to go ahead and have a street level villain, he's definitely the one to do it, to rival that of Thanos, at least in a commensurate power type situation. But how do you have somebody, okay? This is a Kang situation, so you're going to have that at the cosmic level with whatever the fuck you do with a vacant position for Kang. And then at the street level, somebody who's been beat multiple times and been forced to cry. Fantastic planning that you have there, Marvel, okay? But yeah, I mean, there's a reason none of the marketing included Echo in her superhero costume, because holy fuck, man, what in the blue hell is that? But as you can see, make sure you put all the women first, right up there at the front, and keep all the men in the back, because that's what you're trying to do, right? Marvel, no longer a male brand, okay? All of those comic book guys that were growing up, no. You guys are superfluous. You're just going to watch this shit anyways. We are over here. We are trying to make comics for women. We are trying to make these shows for girls. Spoiler, nobody fucking cares. I did the reaction to the video that Star Wars Theory had with his guest psychologist Sadia Khan. And she was talking about, it's like, why would you try to feminize a brand like Star Wars when women don't watch? Okay, and a lot of people took that completely and totally out of context because they have brain damage. But she was speaking in generalities. Yes, there are women that like Star Wars. Yes, there are women who like comic books. Are they the majority? Fucks no, not even close. And the women that do like these properties, guess what? They like them the way that they were. But now you're talking to a fraction of a percentage of people. And the fact that this just came and went. Nobody's talking about it at all whatsoever. Everybody's just moved on to the next thing. Nobody's even going to remember that this motherfucking thing came out by the end of the weekend. It's done. It's dusted. It's gone because Marvel killed their own brand. And this is definitely the result of the knock-on effect that was the Marvels. Because as you can see, making a cool just about $206 million, but it's effectively been pulled completely out of theaters because the last time any reporting that's out there, and well, you can see the different markets that are out there and the fact that a lot of the international heavy lifting was done once again by China. And then you take a look at that, what was it, $15 million? $15 million off of the $11 million opening. That's a gigantic drop off, but $15 million. You know how much Disney, you know how much Marvel takes home from that? A cool $3.75 million, because you only get 25% of the ticket prices, only 25% of the gross out of China. So congratulations. It's even worse than you try to report, at least on this website, because you could take a look at the rest of this stuff. All these international markets, all those Asian markets, you get 40% of that. Fantastic stuff. Latin America, the exact same thing. Over there in Europe, where you're going to end up, cashing out on some of those tax credits, given the fact that the Marvels was in fact filmed over there. But the best you're going to do is the 50% that you take home domestically. And well, that's why everybody's coming to the conclusion that this pile of dog shit ended up costing the company $400 million. So whatever the Echo budget is, at the end of the day, you can just go ahead and just chalk that up to being a complete and total wash. I've seen a lot of advertisements for it leading up to. Not so much anymore. They've just kind of like, okay, it's out. Well, if anybody watches it, well, at least you can watch the Netflix stuff because we made that canon and that's so fantastic. That's the entire reason we put this out, so we could reintroduce the Netflix stuff, right? You could just go ahead and gaslight us and just think that, this ended up getting greenlit at a time when Marvel was just handing out money to everybody because they were still riding that post-Endgame high. But then reality, it comes crashing down quickly. $200 million for your last flagship standalone Marvel film without having to be propped up by any other cameos, at least on the main cast, for over a year. Remember, Deadpool 3 is the only Marvel film, the only MCU film that's going to be coming out in 2024. You gotta wait. You've gotta wait until, what is it, May for Captain Black American Falcon, man, for us to really see the damage that this brand has undertaken. Because a lot of coping is going to be happening with Deadpool 3. Oh, see guys, Deadpool 3 ended up saving the Marvel cinematic universe. It's so fantastic. Everything's fine. Now realizing that that's a lot of heavy lifting by Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and the rest of the other cameos that they're just trying to jangle in front of everybody else's faces. But that's going to be a one-off thing, and they're not going to be able to hide the overall failure of the franchise any further than that, okay? And they almost got away with another little sneaky tactic with the Marvels. But as you can see here, okay, as you can see here from Box Office Mojo, a site that I used quite a bit, to report the worldwide takeaway. The worldwide takeaway, even though, at least domestically, they stopped reporting numbers on the 4th of January. No updates at all whatsoever. It's completely and totally out of cinemas. It was down to, 160 screens there at the end of last week. But now that it's out, and you'd think that all of the ticket stubs are being accounted for, and that any other additional money made off of this film would be nominal at best around the rest of the world, so you could basically just pack it up. But no, Marvel, in fact, wasn't content with being honest with their biggest box office bomb probably of all time, but who knows, 2025 is still a little ways away. But as you can see, this is the numbers, by the way, the numbers that I have pulled up, another site that I was using, and they were tracking the precipitous drop off week after week after week after week when it came to the Marvel's domestic box office. And well, they just thought it was done and dusted right after Christmas. The holiday weekend, it ended up making $28,000. Like, it was done and dusted back then. But you take a look at their totals, and well, tried to sneak one past us one final time. They tried to cushion the blow. Oh, don't worry, guys, it's not a complete and total disaster. It still crossed $200 million, right? It got into the ballpark of one of our reported production budgets. Right. Wrong. Big failure. $199 million. Never forget where you were when the Marvels got released upon humanity, and that we all, with collected slack jaws, pointed and laughed at the once great billion-dollar franchise. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.